June the 21st, 2013, we launched Zero Gun Violence Movement at Redemption Reintegration Services in Toronto. As we launched the Zero Gun Violence Movement, within 2 hours, there were 2 shootings in that neighborhood. And I got a phone call from CBC saying, Louis, while you guys were launching Zero Gun Violence Movement, there were shootings in the neighborhood. And I said, yes, that's why we need to do what we're doing, because we cannot accept the status quo as the solution to this problem. So at that time we have 40 different agencies, programs, organizations across the city that support the movement itself. 2 years later, we're gonna recognize and celebrate the fact that we've been around for 2 years, but sort of reflect on the progress that we've made. And we're gonna have a discussion about, is zero gun violence really possible? What would it take to achieve it? And then what are the barriers to achieving it? Because right now it seems as though we have a divided city. We have zero gun violence in one part of the city for certain people, and in another part of the city sort of accepted that's going to be the norm.
I think if we have to speak about zero gun violence, we have to look at so many other things. I think we have to look at the system that we're living in. First and foremost, we have to highlight that Toronto, developed world, like quotes, or the Western world. And in Toronto, we have a lot of marginalized communities. We have a lot of people of color, particularly black folks, who are struggling just to survive. So even when we talk about no gun violence or zero gun violence, I always feel like you have to replace, what are you going to replace the guns with, right? Is it going to be employment? And if you're giving them employment, it's going to be quality employment, right? So I think I have a lot of factors we have to look at.
Gun violence isn't limited to any specific race. The media is though, right? So a young black man shoots somebody, oh, these criminals, these thugs. Whereas a young white man could shoot somebody and he's misunderstood and, you know, he was in mental health and whatever, right? It's all about the spinning. The same thing when the riots were going on. It was these young black thugs. While, you know, a bunch of bikers were all getting arrested and they're all sitting on the side of the road chilling, talking to the cops, right? And they weren't thugs. But that was a gang. You have to have a conducive environment to create something. So when you look at it, gun violence didn't just happen one day.
Yeah.
It was strategically planned and said, let's let these guys kill each other. And then eventually, you look at Regent Park and Lawrence Heights and all the things that are going on now. Like, they've killed enough of each other.
What Louis is doing with Zero Gun Violence Movement, that's a form of education, right? And more people will be more keen to listen to what he's saying because he looks like us, right? So I know that in the Eurocentric school systems, it's not the case, right? Because we have middle class white women who are there teaching our black children these things. You know, I had a situation where a teacher was questioning my son about Kwanzaa and said that he has to choose which one he's going to celebrate. Not acknowledging the fact that he could celebrate Christmas and Kwanzaa, right? So we have to not only educate ourselves in our homes and in our community, but we also have to do it in the institutions as well, right?
A big bone of contention for us is the right to pass in the Toronto district school system, where they're passing young people through the elementary school system without achieving their academic requirements. And they said they're saying that it's traumatic to hold them back. So we're going to transfer them to the next grade, hoping that they'll catch up later on, right? And it's not happening. We know that 8 out of 10 people in the provincial jail system don't have a proper grade 12, right? A lot of kids are going through the system with no chance of success because the school system is turning a blind eye to it, the right to pass. And if I'm in a meeting with people that are involved in violence within the city, not many of them have a proper grade 8. They've been just pushed out of the system. And for them to succeed in life, how many doors will be slammed in front of their face?
We could talk about education, we could talk about socioeconomic, we talk about community, but at the same time, the system that we're living in, it's like so oppressive. Like all these little kind of movements we try and make the crushing movement. Like you mentioned about Africa, you mentioned about Black Wall Street. Like any time there's a form of unity or some kind of movement, it's stifled. And for me, I think it's so important. I'm thankful that I actually grew up in the Caribbean. I was thankful that when I got up in the morning, my principal was black. the police officer was black, the politician was black, so I could have cussed them out the same. Well, I wasn't cussing them out, my father used to cuss them out. My father used to cuss them out, so it's like, it gave me that opportunity not to go back my tongue if I see a black elder or someone that's my colleague to criticize what they're doing, right? And I feel like that kind of gave me the foundation of what it could be like when we live in a society. I'm not saying that in the Caribbean there was not classism or racism or all that, but there's a very small scale in regards to racism.
Earlier, Uncle and I were talking, and before we can even get to education, there has to be an unlearning, right? Because we've gone through so much psychological trauma that we don't even trust each other, right? We're looking at, oh, he's lighter than me, she's darker, I don't trust them, right? We're looking at, we can't trust each other with money. I'm gonna go to this store and buy things because I don't trust black people, right? So we have to unlearn all of that behavior and then start to educate ourselves on who we are.
If you're Prime Minister of Canada, this whole issue of the criminal record check that is denying people access to opportunity, we got the record checks, this is all a federal jurisdiction.
So-
You're the Prime Minister.
So what I would do is I would make it more lenient, right, in regards to the hiring process. So then companies are not held accountable if things were to happen. And I understand why it's in place, because things have happened, right? And that's why these programs like the record suspension is there. I would look at all the programs that are out there, not only like the the carding or housing or corporate $500 million companies. I look at all of those programs and I'd make it. I would build more equity for all.
Zero Gun Violence Movement is an awareness and advocacy initiative that says we're not going to accept that anymore. Enough is enough. We know the characteristics of a healthy community, healthy families, healthy individuals, where gun violence is not a part of that lifestyle. Where does it start? Who's planting the seeds? Who's the gardener? Who's fertilizing them? Right? And why is it only being planted in certain parts of the city? So we advocate that no, we need a fair and just society. We need a fair and just city. We need everybody to be able to participate in the economy of Toronto, of the city.